Everybody knows how to shoot panos. You basically take multiple pictures, overlap a little bit, upload those pictures to Lightroom or Photoshop and combine them together to get a larger field of view. But what about 360-degree panos? What about those interactive panos that you see on Facebook? Today I'm going to show you how to do that.
This video is sponsored by Luminar AI.
This version of Luminar has been completely rebuilt from the ground up and is Skylum's most powerful piece of software yet.
With Luminar AI's new templates feature, the software automatically scans each image and suggests a series of AI processes that are unique to each individual image. Each photograph will be processed differently depending on if it's a landscape, portrait, wedding, food, or product shot. With templates, you can save tons of time by editing your photos by streamlining common adjustments that you make over and over again. Of course, Luminar AI has all the classic filters like sun rays, sky replacement, and structure AI, as well as new intelligent filters like body and face AI, skin AI, and bokeh AI. To get your own copy of this incredible software, click the link in the description below.
Now let me go ahead and say that the easiest way to do this would just be to buy a professional 360-degree camera. The problem is those cameras are really expensive and the average person doesn't own that. I don't own one of those. So today I'm going to show you how to do it with a standard professional camera. Now to create the perfect pano, ideally you'd want a tripod head that rotates your camera around your lens's nodal point. Let me explain this really simply to you. Basically, instead of attaching your camera to a standard tripod, moving it around, or holding it and moving it around like this, you can see I'm moving the camera all over the place. But there are certain tripod heads that allow you to pivot the camera from the nodal point of the lens. So everything would rotate directly from this point here. And what this is going to do is cut down on parallax. So you can see here, if I'm taking a picture of my finger and I'm looking at the camera behind my finger here, if I start moving the camera like this, I'm going to be able to see a completely different background depending on each image that I take in relation to my finger, and that's going to make stitching your images really difficult. Luckily, if you're shooting a large open space or maybe you're shooting outside, you really don't need one of these because the parallax is going to be so small, the software won't have any issue stitching the images together. Now, if you're really careful, you might be able to show up to a location and using a manual tripod or just hand holding the camera, you could move around and shoot all the pictures you need, 360 degrees this way and 180 degrees up and down, every single shot. But as you can imagine, there's huge room for error when you do that. Many gimbals today actually have a panorama feature built in, and DJI gimbals have a 360-degree panorama feature built in. I happen to have the brand new RS2, so I'm going to be using that. I went to the center of the sanctuary and placed my gimbal on top of a tripod. I set the camera to manual exposure and manual focus. I plugged the camera into the gimbal and opened up the Ronin app on my phone. From there, you simply click Create and then Panorama. Drag the frame boundaries to the edge to shoot the entire scene. From here, set your sensor size and focal length. I chose to use my widest lens, which was 17 millimeters, and the app automatically created a grid of 28 photos. All you have to do now is press the start button and the DJI gimbal will start moving the camera and start taking the pictures automatically. To create a 360-degree spherical pano, you're going to need specialized software. The industry standard is currently PTGui, which stands for Panoramic Tools Graphical User Interface. Click Load Images and upload RAW files or JPEGs into the application and click Align Images. Use the panorama editor to level your horizon and set your center point. Make sure that you choose equirectangular projection. This is what you're going to need to create that spherical finished image. Close this window and go to Preview on the left side. Check your pano for errors. If you see any, you can tweak control points to fine-tune the stitching. Click on Create Panorama and you can export a JPEG or Photoshop document from here. The finished product should look something like this. For further tweaking, bring this file into Photoshop. I did global edits by clicking on Filter and then Camera Raw Filter. Doing these edits before stitching the files may create stitching errors, but doing it afterwards will guarantee that everything works properly. Now click on 3D, Spherical Panorama, New Panorama Layer from Selected Layers. Now you can edit the details of your panorama. Look straight down, clone out your tripod legs and anything else on the scene that's distracting. Click on 3D, Spherical Panorama, and Export Panorama. you now have an edited JPEG that looks like this. To view this in interactive 360 degree, you're going to have to upload it to some sort of viewer. There's a ton of applications out there, but the easiest one is Facebook. Facebook has it built in and it's 100% automated. Just upload this really wide JPEG and Facebook will automatically do the rest. If you're on a computer, you can use your mouse to look around a scene. If you're on a phone, you can move your phone in space and see everything in 360 degrees. This was my first time making a spherical pano. I had a blast, but at the same time, I have learned so much, and I realized that the way I just did it was incredibly easy, and you can go much deeper and much more professional when it comes to this style of photograph and 3D and VR. There's a ton I have to learn, and I'm sure in the future I'm going to be going a lot deeper in some new videos, so make sure you subscribe. Head over to fstoppers.com if you'd like daily free content just like this, and head over to fstoppers.com/store for our full-length photography and video tutorials.